Well, good afternoon, good evening, DCL podcast fans, and welcome back to Coffee at the Cove. And with me today, once again, is Chris and Christy. How are you guys doing?
Good. Tired. How are you?
Not too bad. Chris, how was your day?
Pretty good. Can't complain. It's a Tuesday, which means I was working earlier today, but you know what? It's not about the day we've already had. It's about the fun we're going to have together being live at the Cove.
Yeah, this was kind of a little impromptu. I don't know. I guess we just had a good time talking last time. We had some other things that we thought we could talk about, so we thought we'd just jump on tonight and have some fun with you for people that couldn't join us. So appreciate all of you out there who want to jump in with us. If you have any comments, feel free to throw them out there as we're kind of talking, and we'll just kind of free flow with this today. But we got a couple different things going on. One, the Disney Wish is still booking. Pretty exciting, huh, Christy?
Is exciting what we're going for. No, it's very exciting. This 2-week booking situation means that I get up early for 2 weeks. And I carry the burden of making sure I get everybody booked, but I'm super happy, but I'm very I take it very personally. So I want to make sure to get everybody what I'm supposed to be getting them. So, it's really good, and I'm thankful and I'm grateful. But it's exciting. It's a little stressful because, again, I personally carry it. So I want to make sure that everybody gets it, and it's exciting. And we've been booking, and let me just say thank you everybody out there, because we have gotten, on behalf of the podcast, so many more bookings during this launch and even the summer launch that just occurred for podcast listeners. And we really, really, really do appreciate it. I appreciate it. The podcast appreciates it. And we just, thank you.
Well said. Yeah, I think we all do this just for the fun of it. We enjoy Disney cruising, and and that's our kind of mantra as it starts off, is that your podcast help you cruise a little smarter. And we love talking about it. And if the three of us or all the guests who appear on our show can help you cruise a little smarter, that's what we're here for. So yeah, thanks for helping support the podcast by booking through Christy. But I know she's working hard to get you what you want. So as we kind of look at it, today was DVC and ABD, right? Adventures by Disney.
Was.
Yeah. So.
And it was fun, because fun is not the correct word, but because you could only call in today. So literally everybody had to call in to book, and the phones just stopped working instantly at 8:00. So it opens at 8 Eastern, and they just stopped working.
Wow.
So I actually remembered a different way to get in, and the first way, because you call DCL, it's just beep, 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 exactly we used the world clock, we were on it. Beep, 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 nothing. And so then I got in my back way, and then I was, it wasn't bad. 2.5 hour hold. Not bad.
Can you only book one at a time after 2.5 hours of hold? Or once you're talking, you can be I'm about to book these 12 different things?
You could book for 90 minutes. So you can have as much time, you can do as much as you can in 90 minutes. And then it says actually that your phone call will shut off at 90 minutes. So, and actually, friend of the show, I don't know if I should say his name, so I'm not going to, a different agent during the summer release transferred me a phone call from his, because he got through right away one time, and I was sitting on hold and needed to do something for a client during one of the last release. He pulled me into his call, left me on, did a 3-way, whatever. So I did that to an agent today. And it's just so nice, because when you can't get through, and you can share the wealth. So when you're done with your agent, you can pass them on. It's a lovely little way to share. Sharing
Teamwork.
is caring. Yes.
Teamwork. I love it. Yes. Yes. Well, I was sitting there thinking about it. Tomorrow is the big day, because I think this is the largest category of people booking is silvers, right?
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. Silver.
I can't even imagine. I feel like tomorrow is when we find out, does the Wish sell out its entire inaugural sailing season before it even goes on sale? Or will there be some limited inventory for when it officially goes on sale on the 27th?
To the general public. So yeah, that is a great question. And also, how long will the internet work for? because Disney IT, it's not the best. And in the olden days, so every release before this one, they started online much earlier. And so like,
what does that mean?
bird,
when does it allow you to log into the website now?
Like 7:30 a.m.
Eastern.
And it says on the website 8 a.m. But in the past, 8 a.m. really meant you could log in at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and start doing your booking. So I and many other agents that knew this would get up at 6 a.m. so we can make our bookings for our clients or be at the computer at 6. And this time we just kept waiting. Like, where is it? Where is it? And so at 7:30 now is when it's been going live, which means a lot more agents, though, or a lot more people in general, right, are on the internet at that time because normal people can be up. It's not like 6 a.m. sitting at your computer is a little early, right? So some people won't have done that, but they're leveling the playing field a little too much, and their IT is not strong enough to handle it. So it'll be a fun little game.
Yeah, I mean, Disney has... I know that you all haven't been big into the conventions or things like that, but Disney has had to really master the virtual queue to manage traffic to their website, because otherwise the thing crashes and then it's not fair for anybody. So I find that if you are trying to book a virtual queue for like D23 or for a shopping event, or when tickets first went on sale for Disneyland, yeah, they had basically like, it was like a 12, 13, 14 hour queue for some people. But when you were in, everything worked because they had throttled the traffic. But I don't know that they have any sort of virtual queue system set up for DCL.
They've never done it. They've never had it. So maybe tomorrow, but I doubt it because it's not like they changed any of their other IT leading up to it. I don't know. Had we talked about this? So I think the reason that the first 4 platinums had to be called in, well, this is the reason it has to be, right, is because the first 3, however many were before me, 4, right, was because they didn't want to change the system. They didn't want to sign platinum plus 25 or platinum plus 15. So they had no way to be able to let you like book online. Like
backdoor verify. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I also think, honestly, there's a really big risk if you try to make it primarily an online booking for a brand new category like 25 plus or whatever we're going to call it one day, Diamond. But the reason why that's risky is because if the system just misreads how many cruises you've had, or there's some error there and there's no human involved, that can mean that you're like locked out of booking, when if you had spoken to an actual human, they can like reasonably figure out what's happening. So I don't know. I get it, but also I think that's not a long-term solution. I think all of us agree they're going to come up with some new Castaway Club.
Right.
Categories.
Yeah, when we talked to the DCL Cruise Nerd, she said that was kind of in the works before she went on hiatus. So they've obviously been talking about it. Give a shout out to Kate, who has joined us. How you doing today, Kate? And Lake has said he's silver. He and Katie are booking tomorrow. What are they going to book? I don't know. We'll have to. You guys think about it and figure out what they're going to book.
Oh, do we get to assign it again? Yeah. Do we get
I mean, if it's on the Wish. The question is, are you going to go to Nassau and Castaway Cay, or are you going to go to Nassau and Castaway Cay?
But and with the C day in one of them, possibly.
Will you get a C day? And will Disney ever realize the C day shouldn't be on the first day? It should be on the last.
Yeah,
that's killing me looking at those itineraries. But
I know I saw that and I was like sad for you guys. And what's interesting is one of my girlfriends just decided that she wanted to do Disney cruise. We decided, she's from Michigan, that it makes more sense for us to do a Disney cruise in the winter, her winter, because you want to get out of Michigan. Tundra. So we're doing the Dream in March on a 4-day, and guess what? Our Castaway is like first or second, and then I think it's even second. I need to look at that. And then we have a C day, which is perfect.
Yeah, I mean, if Nassau were the last day, I wouldn't care because
it doesn't matter.
Because we probably wouldn't get off. But
Now wait a minute. We got a good podcast this week, and I was shocked.
There is stuff to do.
There is a lot of stuff to do in Nassau. So I think that next time we go, we are definitely going to experience it. So
yes, Steve. Some of us haven't been to Nassau only one time, and so we have to do stuff, or like we've already done it 17 times. So
that's true.
You know how many years of cruising I have had that have stopped at Nassau? So
okay, but have you ever been to Atlantis?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
she probably opened it, Chris.
I was gonna guess no.
She was the
You know
first one
what,
down the
though?
slide.
I didn't do the paid experiences. I don't think ever there, but we when I was in my 20s, I was much cuter and able to schmooze my way into almost anything. And we talked some guy into letting us into the parts we weren't supposed to be in, and we got to see it all and see what it's like.
Wow.
But you know me with money, I want to spend money on a room, maybe not money on the things, which is probably backwards and is completely against what everybody else on the planet would do. But that's how I prioritize my spending. So
no, I'm weirdly like you, Christy. Maybe it's because I've spent too much time with you, but to me, I do feel like a nice room is important because it feels like a respite. It feels like a difference in the experience. The only time I do not care about a nice room is if I were to be able to only go to Disneyland for a day and I was just spending the night because I didn't want to drive all the way home. Then I'm that's whatever. But if I'm going on vacation, having a quality room with nice linens and a good view matters. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
Well,
Yay. So wait, hold on, Steve. I want to know what everybody else thinks. So are you on Team Steve, go out and do all the things, or are you on Team Christy / Chris on some level and have the nice room and prioritize that? Go on, Steve.
Yeah, they can comment in the comments and we'll read later.
Yes.
But Lake did comment saying the question is more about when booking, not which itinerary.
Well,
wait, what do you mean?
Because I was like, do you want to go to Nassau and Castaway Cay or Nassau and Castaway Key?
Booking.
But it's more when are we booking?
Well, you're booking tomorrow.
They don't have
What
kids.
week?
They don't have kids, so they should go when
September.
school's back in because they're cheaper cruises then.
Yes, but to that end, if they want concierge, and I don't know if this is speaking out of school, but Lake and Katie just bought a house, so maybe they're not getting concierge right now. I understand. They are not cruising in August or September because concierge is totally sold out during those months, at least for now. So here's the thing. You could do a 2-day. What do you mean, why? Why are they sold out?
Why would it not be sold out in July?
Cheaper, cost more. But that's a 3 days. So there are some, I was like, that's a really good price, but that's a 3 day. So there are some 3-day sailings in July that have concierge.
And it's
available.
The concierge where it's basically just the same layout as a family veranda room, but there's plusher fabrics and stuff.
Yes, but also then you have the lounge and the deck and the concierge services, all the things. But I don't know which concierge is ever available. So we can see a starting price. So for these, I can say it's either going to be the interior room or the window, the ocean view or the family veranda. And it's not until you go to view the staterooms that you can see. You know, those tower suites in the Royal Suites have sold out on every cruise.
So if you want to stay in the Wish funnel, you can't.
Lake, you are not staying there tomorrow.
So to that point, so the bourgeois suites have all been
incredible to me.
But the proletariats, the rest of us, the proletariats that are going to be getting on board the Wish, how does it look for everybody else? How are the bookings looking, Christy?
Yeah, you can still get everything as of right now.
Okay.
So you can get
the floodgates are opening tomorrow. So if it is important for you to sail on the Wish and you are listening to this live, which today is Wednesday, right? Tomorrow or today is Tuesday. Tomorrow the bookings for Silver opens on Wednesday. I would say get on first thing in the morning because there's no way of knowing if it's going to be just the floodgates open because there are so many more silvers than golds. Like
And
there are
platinum.
so many more silver than, I mean, platinum for sure, but like it's really going to be a lot more people can book starting tomorrow.
I wonder, I would love to see a breakdown of the numbers. Like, is it a dumbbell? Like, there's like all these platinums, and then gold's this like thin little bar, and then there's like all the silvers. I would seriously be curious to see what the breakdown is on it. But tomorrow, yeah, definitely, if you are silver and want to sail on the Wish, do yourself a favor and book the room tomorrow. You can hold it for 3 days, Christy.
Yes. So concierge is only held for 2. The regular cabins are 3. So that's another point. You should
check back in 2 days.
Check back in a couple of days to see if cancellations existed or occurred, so that if there's something you want, you can check back to see if it's available. Also, if anybody was inclined to still utilize my services, so there's 2 different ways you could do it. One is you can book yourself and transfer it to me after within 30 days, and we accept that. Disney like takes a little bit of money off of it, but it's for what travel agents get for booking it, but it's fine. That's still appreciative, but you can still get in if you want me to book tomorrow. I actually don't have that many. And I've tasked my husband, he has to wake up with me. And so when I have bookings, like if I have more than one or more than a couple, then I make him get up because I just want, our clients to get everything that they can. So you can get in and you'd still be in before most people even know to start booking.
Good points there. I had a point on that too. Holy cow.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We've got a couple votes in. Bradley says he's team Christy and Chris. Holly is team Christy and Chris. Kate says that shorter cruises, I could go cheaper room, but for longer cruises, which is what I prefer, definitely need to go to a better room. And I don't know, looking at those pictures of the Wish rooms, it looks like the thread count on this stuff is like about 1 million or something like that. They look like no matter what you book is going to be pretty amazing.
Comfortable, don't they?
Yeah.
They look comfortable.
Anything else about bookings for the Wish you can think of, Christy, that we could cover?
So this is new. Disney updated their website that everybody is placed into second seating. Now, why are you laughing? Because I think you were thinking I was going to talk about something else, maybe.
No. I was reading another comment. So
okay. So everybody is placed into second seating. So if you don't want to eat when it's basically bedtime, then you have to go in. I'm actually happy when people want to eat at bedtime so that I can eat with the geriatrics and the children. It's fine. I'm fine with that. But you have to make your reservation and then change your time to early seating, which is real weird.
So everybody gets booked into second and then you have to.
And you have to have it held. You have to be reserved before you can even see what your option is.
That's interesting. Huh. Elizabeth says, I highly recommend sleeping in and making Christy do it. That's why I was laughing. All right. Well, if nothing else about the Wish and bookings, good luck to everybody tomorrow. Silver's out there. If you aren't using a travel agent, remember you can either call in or you can use the internet. And so you've got a couple different options versus what the Platinum members were doing. And I want to give a quick plug out. We dropped our 2021 Port Adventure podcast for May. And I didn't really plan this, but it's on Nassau. And since all the Wish bookings go to Nassau and Castaway Cay, I think Zach did a really good job. He's been there quite a few times. And we talk about the Aquaventure Park and going to the casino even. So some adult time on the island. And then he's been out to Blue Lagoon. And I was just really amazed, how many different, there's 2 different little islands there that look like amazing days where you can go and not very expensive, I think, compared to some of the Disney adventures I've seen about Port Adventures before. There was one that was $58 to go snorkel, hang out on the beach. And maybe, I think you get a beverage on the way back too. So I think there's a lot of things to do in Nassau.
Yeah, and we talked about it before the show. We've made fun of it a little bit to Nassau, and some of us don't really get off the ship there anymore. But some of us have been there 7 million times. And so, or we talked about that earlier? Was that still while we were recording? Oh my God, I'm losing my mind, you guys.
We did talk about this earlier. But the point is, Nassau is actually not that much worse than a lot of cruise ports. It's not people, it gets a bad rap, but there's a lot of stuff to do there. And it's fun.
We had Amy on episode 17. I can't believe how long ago it was. 17. So she went to Blue Lagoon, and I thought she described it really well. So if you do a search for DCL Podcast episode 17 and or DCL Podcast Amy, you can hear her trip report as well. She like crammed in so much. She is actually a great podcast to listen to if you are a first-time cruiser or a newer cruiser to Disney Cruise Line, because she talked about all the things we don't do. The three of us are like, we'll talk about it at some point. I've done the fish extender a couple of times. Steve's never done it. Chris, have you done the fish extender? Chris is in La La Land.
I have done the fish extender. I find it to be stressful and delightful and stressful.
All at the same time. So
you just really have to decide if that's for you. But we will do an episode about it, because the number one question I see in any cruise group I join is people being like, what's the fish extender? And truly, it is a Disney Cruise Line tradition. It does not exist on other cruise lines, at least that I've ever been on. So, we'll do an episode about it. But you're right. Nassau was the very first stop I ever did on a Disney cruise ship. So it'll hold a special place in my heart. But on the Wish, am I going to get off at Nassau? Probably not.
No, not.
There's too much to see on a brand new ship. That's the problem. If it were a new ship, I would get off.
That is a good point on this one.
Do we think there's going to be something like the Midship Detective Agency? I mean, obviously, probably not that, but something like that the family can do together. That's an adventure. And when I was booking that March cruise with my girlfriend and her family, we watched some cruise video to see what it was like, and they talked about it, and I kind of forgotten because it's been a while, right, since we've been able to be on these ships. And so I forgot about the Midship Detective Agency, which, Steve, we should have talked about during the 101 episode on what is included. But
that's
a
lot of fun.
It is. It's like a scavenger hunt, right? With like the oldest cell phone technology ever. And you go up to different points in the ship and solve. It's a detective agent. You solve the crime.
Wait, you're talking about Midship Detective Agency?
Yes.
There's not even a cell phone. It's just like a little badge that you hold up in front of a camera and you do things with. But honestly, they're gonna do something like that on the Wish, and that was announced way late in the run for Dream and Fantasy. So I think that technology is going to continue because it gives people something they could do 24 hours a day. That is like an activity, but it doesn't require Disney to do any maintenance.
And it's an activity to do together as a family, which is where it's really important to me, because sometimes you want to do stuff. You go on these vacations. Yes, you want to like shove your kid in the kids club sometimes, right? But you also want to do stuff together and have activities together. So I love that Disney thinks that through.
I would have a hard time believing that they wouldn't have something like that. So, well, let's switch topics here. But I can't talk.
Why? Just kidding.
Let's switch topics. So check out that NASA Port Adventure show. I think it kind of opened my eyes. How many? Oh man, this phone. Or it's my watch. It drives me nuts. Siri. If anybody could fix Siri, I would appreciate it. Anyways.
Don't put her on there in the first place.
Yeah, need to turn it off is what I need to do. Okay, so lots of speculation out there, lots of excitement this week with possibilities of sailings beginning out of Seattle, going up to Alaska. In some ways, it looks like it could possibly be some of the first sailings that happen in the U.S. because of some things that are going on in Florida. I want to preface all of this by saying things are changing quickly. None of us are lawyer. Well, Chrissy's a lawyer, but she's
I'm not a lawyer for this.
She's not a nautical lawyer.
Yeah, she's not a maritime lawyer. So there's a lot of angles to it. If we say something incorrectly, apologize. Send us an email. We'll try and correct it in a future episode. But a lot of excitement, and possibly Alaska sailings might be the first ones. And we can go into some details here. Carnival, Princess, Royal Caribbean, Holland America, and NCL have all stated that they will begin sailings out of Seattle. I don't have dates other than Norwegian Cruise Line doesn't have their first sailings could be on the Bliss August 7th. So that's a little ways away still. And we do know that Disney has been in talks with the Port of Seattle to get space there.
Yeah, the Bliss, for those of you who don't know, is a larger ship about the size of the Dream and the Fantasy. And it has already sailed Alaska seasons out of Seattle. So that's not a stretch. It's a bigger stretch for Disney to shift all the people who have already booked this Alaska season to have to now fly in and out of a new home port because they can't fly into Vancouver.
Did you see Scott Sanders' post about, and it doesn't mean that it's happened, but there is a cruise ship schedule for Alaska for 2021, which does actually show the Wonder sailing out of Alaska. So who knows if they'll do it or not, but he has it on his, if it'll show up.
It's not showing up. But, just go to his website.
Getting there. Yeah. On his website. You can get to his blog, but it's on all of social media. So if you go to Disney Cruise Line blog on Instagram or Facebook, he has these up. And it shows every day that the Wonder is scheduled to either be in these ports or in Seattle, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so right now the July 12th one looks like it's the most realistic. That everything's been canceled, I think, up until July 12th, even though if you go to his website there, it shows one sailing before then. So there was
that's a little early probably for that to occur personally.
Yeah, the thought is possibly maybe that would be a what am I looking for? A test cruise. So here's some things that we do know. The reason why this is happening is because Congress and President Biden signed into to enact the Alaska Tourism Restoration Act, which allows cruise ships, which are foreign flagged. So all of the Disney cruise ships are foreign flagged. All of these other ships are foreign flagged. And there's a restriction on them to stop at a foreign port. They cannot go between two U.S. ports. So they can't go from San Diego to Seattle. They have to stop at a foreign port, which is why Disney leaves out of Vancouver. So all of the rest of them that leave out of Seattle, they make a stop in Victoria, which is part of Canada. So what they have signed is this Alaska Tourism Restoration Act, which allows the ships to leave from Seattle and go up to Alaska. And there's a long story behind why they do this, or why that act is in place. But this would allow cruise ships to go up to Alaska and bypass stopping in Canada. Allegedly, I think that once Canada allows ships to stop in there again, that this, I think, ends. I don't know the specifics on that. That was something that Bruce on Twitter was talking about. He lives up in Canada, so I'm going to take his word for it. But there's a possibility that once Canada, if they open up their ports for ships to stop, that could potentially end this. So this is kind of just a stopgap measure to try and get ships up to, or try to get some type of cruising up into Alaska this year.
Yep.
And the other thing to keep in mind is even though they passed this, the CDC still has not allowed ships to sail.
So the major cruise lines are all in talks with the CDC still. We did post yesterday the latest Richard Fain video, which, oh my God, I still love him so much. And so it gives us a little bit more information. Like first they had to see if they can even get beyond that statute that would require a foreign port. And now that they did, now they can go back to dealing with the CDC. What looks like is going to happen is with a lot of cruise lines, they're going to do the test cruises, or some of them are going to require every single person on the ship to be vaccinated. It looks like Royal Caribbean is actually, in their company of ships, is actually going to do the 95% rule, so that 95% of the people on the ships have to be vaccinated. And then I think they have to do the test cruises, some of these rules, because they've changed like every 7 seconds. But they are allowing children. And most
unvaccinated children.
Well, like my kid, yes, he's unvaccinated because he legally cannot be vaccinated. So yes, children under the age of 12 who won't have received their vaccination yet, who couldn't receive their vaccination, they're also, which I don't think is going to be widely discussed, but they are going to allow a few adults to be unvaccinated if they have a medical reason to do so, which there are definitely people that have had a severe reaction with the first shot and can't get the second shot and things like that. So, but they have to limit it. So it literally is going to be a case-by-case basis if there's enough room for you on your ship.
Any thoughts there, Chris?
One thing that I'm a little confused about though is how do you reduce capacity on a sailing that's already booked? So like if the CDC were to say, you can sail, but your ships can only sail at 30% capacity or 50% capacity, but the Wonder is booked above that, how do you choose who doesn't get to sail?
So months ago, I asked our rep for Royal Caribbean. So travel agencies have employees that work for these companies that work for them. They're business development managers. And is that you, Steve? Or do you have an answer too?
Yeah, I've got an answer too.
Okay, well, you can do it. You can say your answer in a second. But she said that this is not the first time this type of thing has occurred with cruise lines before. And what they do is they literally call them up. They call up people, like they'll call up their agents and say, you're an agent. We know you're an agent. You're booked on this cruise. Will you not go on it? And we'll give you a cruise in the future or something along those lines. And then most of the time, that's how they weed out their ship capacity.
I don't know. I don't know this is, for fact, but it's got to work just like the airlines do. They're going to offer people initially something. They'll probably contact people and see who's just going to drop off, right? Because there are people that are not going to sail, I think.
Right.
I would be surprised if 100% actually sailed if it left tomorrow. Maybe they would. I don't know. But the bottom line is X amount of people are not going to sail. Then they would start offering incentives. Possibly they could look at like industry people and let them, move them off first versus the higher paying customers. So that's the way the airlines kind of work it. So try and, entice them with, hey, would you like to go on this 3-day of the Wish, which they're never going to do, right?
They'll actually have pre-inaugural cruises for all the people they boot off of the other ships.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be awesome? That would be so great. So Carnival is not allowing unvaccinated individuals onto their ships, and neither is NCL, which means effectively that
Disney would be the only major cruise line who hasn't announced yet what they're doing.
Yes, Disney announces nothing to anybody about anything, right? And so we don't know yet what Disney's doing. But that does mean that there won't be children under 12 years old on Royal Caribbean on Carnival or NCL. So if you want a cruise before October 31st, I think, that doesn't have children, you can book those cruise lines because at least for now, and that doesn't mean it won't change because this is fluid, right? The rules, their opinions can change. They can change their mind. But as of right now, you have to be vaccinated to cruise on those two lines.
So I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but the way I understood it this weekend too is to avoid a test cruise, a cruise would have to sail with 98% of the passengers vaccinated and 95% of the crew vaccinated. If you did anything less than that, then you would have to go to the test cruise phase. So that's where Disney probably has their biggest problem, is because a huge amount of the passengers are going to be kids, and a large amount of them are going to be 12 and under, at least until that vaccination comes out for younger kids.
But sometimes the test cruise isn't even that big a deal. It's just one more hoop. It's all those other things too. It was like the different rapid testing or the different levels of testing that would have to occur. It looks like as of now, you are going to be still a rapid test as you're getting on the ship and then as you're getting off the ship again.
So we'll follow that. We'll try and put the stuff out there as much as we can. Obviously, follow Scott Sanders over the Disney Cruise Line blog. He's always on top of it. And I think the person that does the best as far as the CDC stuff goes, get over and see Doug Parker at Cruise Radio. He's been on top of it the whole time through this. And he does updates every day on Twitter. And you can go to his website and find it as well. I'm not sure if he's on Facebook necessarily, but he
is on Apple Podcasts though. And so I download those, come through my phone every day, and I get to hear my 1-minute update from him. It's really good.
Yeah, he does a really good job at that with what's going on. So right now, I think, Chris, you haven't looked at it, but I don't think you can see any of the Alaska sailings. I think they pulled all of them earlier in the year I know we had a sailing in June when they canceled it. I think prior to that, they pulled all of them. But if they do start sailing out of Seattle, possibly look for them to come back up if there's any room for them to sell.
Yeah. And so the problem, though, is likely to be that the issue is going to be capacity. So they're probably not going to post it. Again, we don't know, but they're probably not going to post it.
Okay. It's like if you're already booked on it, good luck. If you're not booked on it, you probably won't get to.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't even look like we can check the box.
That is true, but I was playing around on the website as I do because I don't have a life. And I noticed that Disney does distinguish the Wonder from the other ships. So they will say the Wonder is not sailing before July 12th and the other ships are not sailing before July 30th. So the fact that they separate it out that way from the other ships at least shows that there could be something happening. And that's an official line on Disney Cruise Line's website.
So it's totally possible, hold on one sec, that I'm doing this wrong and that my previous searching is messing it up. Oh, there's the reason. I don't think I didn't have that checked. But it was because something wasn't checked. So we can still pull up dates. Now I sort of want to finish this and see what happens.
Okay, well, you're saying that I'm gonna say once again, none of us are lawyers except for Christy. She's not a maritime lawyer.
I'm not giving you legal advice.
We are not experts on all this stuff. We're just trying to keep up with it as best as we can with the rest of you, and just throwing the talking points out there that we've heard so far. So once again, Doug Parker, Cruise Radio, or Scott Sanders over the Disney Cruise Line blog, and our Facebook page. I've been trying to post
keep it up to date.
Yeah, kind of keep it up to date as things like more bigger breaking news, not the day in and day out minutia between the CDC. All right. So do we want to, as you're looking there, do we want to order a pizza and talk DVC, or is there anything quick at Walt Disney World or Disneyland that you guys want to talk about?
I wasn't prepared for that. That's like your dad joke of the day.
That's okay. We can go into DVC.
I can quickly talk about what's happening with Disneyland. As soon as Orange County left the most restrictive tier, Disney opened up a ton of new reservations for Disneyland. So there was a while last week when you could get a reservation for June 4th at California Adventure, which is opening day of Marvel Avengers Campus. That's gone again, of course, but that was there. The new numbers people think they're targeting are 35%. So they think that Disneyland has opened up capacity to about 35%. And from everyone I've heard on the ground, it is crowded. There are a lot of people when you still have physical distancing in place. So the days of nobody being at Disneyland are gone.
They quickly went by. It was like a flash.
Yeah, that was a short-lived moment. We are still going to do an episode for you all on Seth and Mai's birthday trip. We will tell you all about Marvel Land, tell you all about Star Wars Land, because we haven't been in Star Wars Land yet in California. We've been there. We haven't been on Rise of the Resistance. We've only been on Rise of the Resistance in Florida randomly, not in our home state. So we're excited to ride it here. I don't think they're very different, but it'll still be fun. So we'll report out on that and tell you everything there is to know about Disneyland. We think starting after June 15th, Disneyland will allow out-of-state visitors again. So you can look for that, but that's not official. It's just a hunch that California is lifting restrictions on June 15th, and Disney is not going to want to be waiting too much longer for out-of-state visitors.
Yeah, and at Walt Disney World, the physical distancing markers are going away. The little circles are going away. Some of the plexiglass is going away. So coronavirus has left Florida, apparently.
Elvis has left the building, and so has coronavirus, huh?
Yep.
I'm showing my age there on that one. So, yeah. Okay. Anything else about Disney World then, Christy?
No.
I heard maybe what's it called? Hoop-de-Doo
Review.
You might be coming back, and we're coming there in November, hopefully for a November cruise, and that's something that I've always wanted to do.
Me too.
Cool. Yeah.
Maybe we'll wait because I was supposed to go in November of 2020 before all my stuff got canceled. So I am happy. I would love to wait to go with my family, to go with you and Steve and your family. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So, okay. Those are some topics there. Do we want to order our pizza now? Should we do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I know it's my little shtick here. Okay. So we're going to talk. We're going to talk a little. We're going to talk a little DVC, and I think talking DVC is sort of like ordering a pizza. Everybody's got an opinion on what's the best thing to order, and everybody's right. But in buying DVC, I think that once you decide to go down that road, which we didn't do as good a job because there wasn't as much information out there, I think, as there is today. I wish we could have had a little bit more information. We still would have done the same thing, actually, looking back on it, but there's a lot of information out there. So, but I think that buying DVC, the best thing you could do is do your homework, listen to all the different opinions, and then kind of see what fits into your family. But Chris, you're thinking about you and Seth are thinking about possibly taking that step.
Yeah. I mean, I think we spend enough money with Disney that it is a logical sense for us. But we don't really, I think like what's hard for us is that the Disneyland Tower is not built yet. And there's actually an obscenely small number of DVC rooms that they ever made available at Grand Californian. They built the DVC extension, but it's like maybe 65, 70 rooms. And that got bought up pretty quickly. So this new tower, I think, will add quite a bit of inventory. And in some level, it might make more sense for us to wait till then to purchase. But we're just not really sure because they'll probably be a lot more expensive by then per point. And we don't know if it makes more sense to buy in when it's like cheaper per point, or if you really should just wait until you have a property that you know you want to go to more. And then Steve, when we were talking off air, told me something I didn't even realize, which is Disney themselves will sell you older contracts for the other properties. So I feel like we have no idea what makes the most sense. And it feels like, you're right, a bit of like a can of worms, but also fun to think about.
Yeah, it was exciting when you sent over that text earlier today that you were thinking about it. And I instantly had the thought, wait to buy Disneyland because it's so difficult to get in to use Disneyland for DVC points. And not that you would do it all the time, but you'll do it sometime. And you can still get places at Walt Disney World under the 7-month mark many times. So
but what is that like? Is that like Old Key West or
yes.
Coronado Springs? It's
they
like
don't have DVC. Saratoga. You're thinking of Saratoga.
Yeah, that's where Stephen Wake stayed at the marathon weekend.
Yes.
So it's those buildings, those properties are the ones that are more likely to have 7-month availability.
What I would maybe consider too, and this is why I sort of was like, you should go on, and I still think this should be a show, go talk with Chad at my DVC points community, because man, that man has so much DVC knowledge in that brain of his. But the Grand Floridian is going to go on sale in the next 6 months or something for them to open it next summer, or in the next, I don't know when they go on sale from when it opens. I don't know what that timeline ever.
Just tell me, remind me, they're renovating old rooms.
Yeah, so they're taking part of their hotel rooms out of inventory, and nobody really knows what that means yet, and turning them into DVC rooms. That's a great property location. It's on the monorail. You can technically now walk to the Magic Kingdom. There's some pros, and I guess some people are thinking those points aren't going to be like what it would cost to buy them from Disney now, because that's the problem. You can buy everything from Disney now. Grand Californian randomly goes on sale. You can buy those points from Disney, but they cost like $8 billion. So if you buy the properties that are the main properties on sale, they're within the contract price per point that
Disney quotes. Right now they're quoting like what, 200, 211 per point or something?
Zero clue. But yes, those would be the ones for the properties that are for sale. Like, are they still selling Copper Creek? I think
they've finally taken them off as far as like a new resort that they're selling it. Obviously, you can buy them you can buy any of them except the Grand Cal is the only one that a lot of times they don't have points for. So you can buy, they have pricing different, and it's different pricing than what they're selling Riviera and Alani for right now. So, and
is it usually more expensive or less expensive?
Totally depends upon the resort.
I think it's almost always more. You're right.
Totally,
So maybe Saratoga would be less.
yeah, it totally depends on the resort. So I guess, the things that you need to do is I would go over to Chad's show really and listen to, he's doing a new member series, kind of listen to those. I would think about, the Disneyland Tower is not going to open up for a while. So if this is something that you want to do now, but I don't want to say this as an investment advice, but I mean, like right now it's crazy how expensive things have been going up. Let's see, Katie says they are selling Copper Creek. We did a pitch last week. Okay, so they are still selling Copper Creek.
Copper Creek has its downfalls, which we could talk about in a second as well. But finish your thought.
I guess my thought is this: the one way you could look at it is if you have the money and you really want to do it now, you could get into a Walt Disney World resort now. Use those points for the next couple of years until it becomes time for the Disneyland Tower to open up, and then at that point, you could theoretically sell that contract on the resale market, and then take that money and roll it into the Disneyland Tower if that's what you want. So, the one.
But I think there would be a loss with that. So I think that, depends on what we can quantify as a loss. But I don't think you would get the 122 points per.
You wouldn't.
Or whatever.
You wouldn't. Well, that's why this is like a pizza. There's like so many angles to it. If you buy direct through Disney because you want the blue card now, you may take a loss at it. If you buy in the resale market right now, the way the resale market's going up, there is potential that you could sell it 2 or 3 years down the road and at a higher price.
A little bit more.
Yeah. And have the 2 or 3 years right now to use it rather than waiting a couple years before Disneyland Tower comes online.
Is there literally any main benefit that you think is compelling enough to want that blue card?
Well, for one, going into the future, they are beginning to put some restrictions on items that get sold, or like you couldn't have booked that DVC cruise without the blue card. You needed the blue card to book that. But nobody uses it for that except for this one random new ship. So it's tough. There's also discounts on your annual pass, but living in California, I'm not sure that makes sense for you to get anyway. Maybe, but it would are you really coming that many times in a year where that would make sense? You get like 20% off on merch, but you get 20% off on merch. Oh, you wouldn't get it otherwise.
The thing is, we would probably use our points once a year for like one big trip. Maybe also use a couple points for marathon weekend or something like that. But we would flying to Florida is just not worth it to do it that often. So like an actual Disney World trip would be more rare, like maybe a once a year, maybe for 2 weeks type of thing. But Disneyland, it sounds weird to people because some people would be like, why would you need to stay at a hotel when you live in Southern California? But like Disneyland is like 2 hours away with traffic sometimes. And I live like maybe 30 miles from Disneyland, but it can be really long trip to get there with traffic. And when you've stayed in the parks all day at 9 o'clock, the last thing you want to do is drive home in traffic. So like just the idea of staying on property and making like a little staycation out of it is appealing to us.
Well, I think Chrissy can even attest. She lives right above the castle right now down in Walt Disney World. And that gets to be a long walk sometimes the way to the front gate. So I know that she likes to get away from that castle a little bit too. No, but in all honesty, people down in Florida love to stay. And you're in the bubble, right? For a couple of days, and it gets you out of the reality, I guess. So I don't think it's weird at all, Chris.
Yeah. That makes sense. I also, I don't know that we would probably use the RCI conversion stuff, but the fact that it's there, if you're traveling to like Europe or, international parks, the idea that, well, we could find a hotel in Tokyo and convert our points feels like that's kind of cool, So I don't know. There's also me being 34. I sort of feel like the life of a contract takes me right up to the time that I'm probably going to be too old to be going to Disney that often anyway. So like I could basically get a full lifetime worth of use out of that type of contract if I bought soon. So that's another reason why it seems like maybe it just seems more worth it.
Yeah, no.
I guess
I get it.
one other quick thing is, if you're looking at Walt Disney World, it definitely makes sense to look at the different resorts and how easy it is to book. If you're looking for specific days like marathon weekend, I would probably steer you away from, like, I don't know enough about the Polynesian, but I would definitely steer you away from Copper Creek. And some of the Grand Floridian also has a very small amount of rooms available, and it's also high price point. So I would probably, look at those kind of angles too, because if you want, the hardest thing to get at Disney World is a studio in some of the resorts. So that's an angle to it as well.
Right. You end up, even though they have prices for studios,
right.
You end up having to spend the higher point price because you can't find cheaper options.
I mean, it stresses me out to watch this, but I was like, okay, Marathon Weekend was coming up. We were going to book. We've got a very small contract in Copper Creek, enough to get 3 days in a studio. And I pulled it up in November, and I started. And this is a whole other topic I don't want to get into, but I'm watching people walk their points already, and they're walking through Christmas, and they're some people are taking Christmas, and some people are continuing on through Marathon Weekend. And it's like, so the idea of like me getting on at the 11-month window to book my points, like it was all gone. Like everything was gone by the time I got on at Copper Creek. And there's a reason for it, because there's a small amount of studios and there's a huge amount of points allocated to those cabins. But most people are not staying in those cabins. Most people are like me that have these smaller contracts. And so we're all in a battle to get those smaller rooms. So there are better resorts like Animal Kingdom where you don't have that problem. Obviously, Saratoga and Oak Creek West, you don't have those problems. So, like I said, there's a lot of angles to it as far as.
What about? No, that makes sense because I've obviously done enough research. We also are totally the people who will do the tour just to get like whatever free thing they're giving away. So I've been on a DVC tour like 6 times.
As you should.
Like, why not? Okay. But one thing that I think a lot about is the risk of like not getting to do things like Aulani. Because if you go and book Aulani on cash stays, it's not cheap. It's like $500 to $800 a night, depending on what type of room you want to stay in. So if you think Aulani, like year round, usually has pretty good availability at the 7-month mark, then to me, that's like, oh, that's a really cool benefit, because that means we could add Hawaii to our vacationing pretty easily. And we've never even been to Hawaii once.
That's insane, by the way.
I know.
It's getting a little tougher at the 7-month. I think that like if there's specific dates, you might have a little bit harder time finding it. But I think Aulani right now is still, you could, as long as you're flexible, you're going to find something in the 7-month window. You may not find that studio ocean view room, or they have, which we use a lot, the hotel rooms, because they're super cheap points and there's 2 queen beds in it. So with our kids being bigger, that's way more comfortable than that pull-out sofa. But that's a whole nother angle. But I think that you'd be able to use it for that, at least initially. Hello, Kim. Good to see you. Well, anything else, I guess, about DVC? Any other questions right there, Chris? I don't know if we helped you or not. Just made it more confusing.
No, it's not more confusing. I think, Riviera is the main contract they're pushing right now. And then they'll start pushing. Also, what's like the best deal you've seen for a sign up? Like right now, the deal they're offering is $3,000.
That's good. That's really good.
I think the best
It depends, though, how many points. Sorry, Steve.
It's 3,000 off of 200.
Yeah, I don't know. You have to see too. You probably don't need 200 points. You'll have to figure that out.
We haven't done any of that.
Yeah, figure out how many, if you want a week, kind of look at those point spreads. But I mean, the other knocks on I don't mean to pick on the Riviera, but unless it's like a resort that you really love, it's a high price point resort. So you've got to use a lot of points for a week there versus like a stay at the Animal Kingdom. So you could possibly, I mean, that's the thing to look at. Like, look at the points.
But isn't the high price point going to go up with every new property they build?
No. So, for every new property, maybe, but not for all the properties. Like every year it doesn't go up. So like, I don't remember what the real points are, but let's say the Riviera is like for a studio, 30 points a night, whereas Copper Creek is like 21 points a night. That adds up. And even when I'm a snob, I like my nice things. I still have a hard time pulling the trigger a lot of times on that higher price point per night at the Riviera, even though they're arguably the most well thought out and well put together rooms. They're just expensive per night. And then the other issue is you have to buy under the thought process that you're going to transfer it to your family, children, etc., and then never try to sell it, because Disney, as of now, put the restrictions in there that said if you buy it on resale, if you buy Riviera on resale, you can't stay anywhere else, but you can't stay in any of the original 14 properties.
Which was a really good point, because there's a theory out there that once that happens, that Riviera is going to be really hard to book when people, all that they can book is at the Riviera, and you've got like X amount of people all fighting for those either tower studios or the just studios.
Well, they're
in general.
already fighting for the tower. You can't plan on the tower studios.
I like the Riviera. I mean, for the most part, I think it's a beautiful resort. I think the Skyliner is awesome. So if it's a place that you really want to be and it works in your budget, I'd say go for it. But if you're indifferent to it, don't let Disney talk you into buying into the Riviera just because that's what they have on sale, because you can buy any of the resorts right now. Obviously, if you buy
for less years though.
Yes, and that's the downside of buying some of the other resorts.
Because like if you bought Animal Kingdom, that's like a 15-year-old property at this point.
Right. Or like beach clubs, like even that's even more so. So
but people buy Beach Club because they like that pool with the sand in it.
They do.
Which is awful if you have young kids. Like that pool, everybody's like, yeah, that pool's great, but it's so truncated until your kids get older, Chris, you are not going to want to stay there as a family.
I mean, is that the place with the scary clown pool or slide or whatever?
No, but that's gone. So
boardwalk.
That was the boardwalk, but the clown is gone.
Oh, they took some guest feedback there.
Yeah. Now it's cute Mickey and Minnie, so you don't have to have your child shooting out of the scary clown's mouth.
Terrified.
Right. Shoot out of. Yeah. So anyway.
I mean, I think that if we were to do it, we would like probably not just go online and do it. We would probably do another tour and like talk to a person and all of that, just because if you look online, you can't find any information about other properties they have on sale. It's just the info on the two that they're pushing right now.
I'll see if I can find the link. We can see it as owners. And if you can't see it, if I can't find it as somebody that's not an owner, I'll give you my login. You can take a look at it so you can see the pricing and what's available. So
it's interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, so that's the thing. I think a lot of people who listen to this have at least in their lifetime thought, should I do that? So if we go further down this road, we can do more episodes on it.
Well, we'll definitely put together like another episode. We'll bring in a bunch of other people with some different opinions besides Christy and I, and let them talk about it, because I know we've got some recent people that have bought and they've got a lot of opinions. So we can definitely bring those in as well.
What else opinion do we need? I'm just kidding. But let's reach out real quick. We said hi to Kim, who I got to see last week. It was so nice. Yes, and
they were down there, weren't they? I forgot about that. I saw all the pictures. Yeah. Hope you had a good time, Kim. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I also got to see Diane, who also commented on the YouTube page, who I got to see her and her family. And it was so nice. They are going to be coming on our Mediterranean port adventure series. I think that's coming out soon. And so very excited. It was great to meet them. Great to see them. Also forgot to take a group picture. I don't know. And Steve, who I had also previously met down in Orlando. This is so fun. He also commented on the YouTube page. So hi guys.
Awesome. Well, I guess before we get out of here, I got a couple of things, like just business podcast stuff.
Oh, God.
Business. That sounds like very formal. I'll just throw that out there and then we can do kind of a wrap up here. But we want to let you guys know that we have dusted off the books of the DCL 101 series. That next week we're going to have another 101 series, which is what's included on a Disney cruise. And I'm really excited to do this next one. We've got a couple who has never been on a Disney cruise. We're going to bring them on and we're going to let them ask us all the questions that they have about sailing with Disney Cruise Line. So we're going to be able to answer them. And And if we get them wrong, please reach out to us and tell us why we're wrong. Because
But do
yes,
it nicely.
you should stay up and watch the fireworks. You shouldn't go to bed before them.
I agree with that. I don't say that you shouldn't. I just don't need to do it personally.
And maybe, Steve, you should get off your butt instead of sitting by the pool. You should go and enjoy, brunch at Palo.
You should definitely go and enjoy brunch at Palo, and you should stop comparing it to Subway.
I know. And I'm drawing a blank on what Chris should do, but Chris is just super cool. He does all the things the right way. So
What have I not done? I mean, I avoid the Pirates dinner. It's terrible. Terrible menu.
So anyways,
there used to be pot stickers on that menu, though, that shockingly that they don't even have anymore. But I do know that my husband loved the pot stickers, but we almost never went. Like, we weren't going just for pot stickers, and we wouldn't go to that dinner because we would go to Palo most of the time that night.
I've moved beyond Pirates. They're not making any more Pirates of the Caribbean. Maybe they are. But
well, there was a theory that Red was going to be in one, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, fine. If they reboot it, but if it's just a dying franchise, then let's do something new.
Let's move on.
Let's freeze the night away.
Yeah, I'm all for that. And we can have fireworks at the end of it. See, Chris and I have so much in common, Steve.
You do. I know. That's why, you guys are like brother and sister. Like, a big sister and a little brother.
Oh, yeah. We like sparkly things together. We like rainbows together.
Mm-hmm.
All the things.
All right,
the most complex things about our personalities.
All right, so DCL 101, look for a couple of shows coming out on that. Be excited to bring that show back to you. We'll have our news recap show up next week as well. I love doing that. I hope you guys are enjoying that. We pull up some of the big stories that happened during the month around Disney Cruise Line and cruising, and we get to riff on it a little bit. I will give a shout out here. Serena says, I would love to hear more about this. We have wondered about it. We will definitely get another show put together, Serena, but I really want to give you give Chad and the My DVC Points community, go over there and check it out. That's a great group of people. Any questions you have, they've got so many podcasts out there. You can listen to other people's experiences. That's just a great resource to learn more about that there. So I guess, before we get out of here, Christy, why don't you give everybody the great news, the fun news that we had this week. So.
Oh, that we are going, every one of us is booked on the Wish. So the three of us in the inaugural season will be cruising on the Wish. It's very exciting.
Yeah. We used this terrible travel agent. No, we used you as our travel agent, and it was great. It was smooth sailing. I didn't wake up for it.
I slept in. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, I was up.
No,
I
you
had
had to go fly.
I had to go to work. But
I literally woke up to a text saying, your cruise is booked. I was like, yes. So, yeah, we are on the inaugural season. Which is cool.
The inaugural season.
That's how we gotta pitch it to everyone. Don't worry, we're gonna be on the inaugural season of The Wish. Which means we will 100% have an episode that features people who cruised on that inaugural sailing, but there will be so much to cover that by the time we go on our cruises, we'll have even more fun stuff to talk about. So I think things are looking up in the podcasting world.
I think so too, and we'll know which drinks not to order in the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge, right, Chris? Because we'll hear about
which one makes your mouth numb. Can I avoid that one?
Yeah. So, all right, Diane. Good luck to you. She says, "Fingers crossed for tomorrow."
Yes.
Everybody out there booking tomorrow. I know silver is the big wave. It's like the big fish coming through. And I want to wish all of you guys who are listening tonight, and if you're listening later, I hope you get the sailing and the room that you want.
Yeah.
So
as we sailing.
Yeah. Well, I mean
the room is probably gone.
Yeah.
But let's be honest.
That's true. All right. Well, as we get out, Chris, any final thoughts?
Nope. It's nice to hang out tonight, and we'll have more news soon. Hopefully we'll have more news about initial sailings and everything going back, and it'll be fun.
And I do have closing remark-ish. We had talked about it before the show, and then we never actually finished talking about it when we were talking about Googling stuff earlier. But if you are a new cruiser, because we have realized that we haven't done as much cruising talk on our podcast in the last couple of months because the ships haven't been sailing. Okay, people, but we are getting back into it and we're doing it. But if you want to listen to past podcast episodes, even the ones that aren't on iTunes or I don't know how far back Spotify and the other places go, you can actually Google whatever topic you want to hear about, DCL podcast and whatever topic, and it'll come up. You can find all of our previous 101 episodes by doing DCL podcast, Cruising 101, right? Is that what we call them?
Yes.
Or the 101 series?
Yes.
Yeah.
So DCL 101.
Oh, yeah, DCL 101. So DCL podcast, DCL 101. And you can find the previous episodes that we did. And we are releasing them now going forward. We will be re-releasing them, but you can listen to those and at least get an idea of these different areas. Like we talked about picking a cabin and what different meals and stuff like that on the cruise. So you can go back and listen to some of that stuff if you haven't been listening to us from the beginning.
Definitely. Yeah. Apple limits how many podcasts you can go back to. So on Spotify and most of the other places that you can listen to, you can find all the way back to the very beginning, which is scary. I haven't listened to one of the first ones I don't know if I want to listen to it.
You really don't even need to listen to anything before whatever episode I showed up in the picture.
Exactly.
What was this podcast before me?
It wasn't as colorful.
Just two old folks talking.
Why do I have to be old too? I know I'm your bigger sister, but I don't have to be the parent here. Come on.
Oh my goodness.
I'm kidding. No, I was a listener before I ever came on the show. Those OG episodes are lit. There you go. That's my recommendation.
What was your first episode? Was it the Alaska cruise?
It was. I remember.
Yeah, it was the Alaska cruise, but then we also did a Run Disney episode.
Was it? I don't remember.
I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but
I'm pretty sure.
I do know that the reason I first reached out to you as a listener was because I was thinking of starting in Run Disney, and you were the only person I heard talking about it. What a wild time.
Such a wild time.
I'm glad you did, and look where we are today.
Look where we are now.
Yeah, I've got you hooked up on a Tuesday night, like when you should be out having to hang out with us. People.
I'm running a half marathon next weekend in Yosemite. So
that's so cool.
Take some pictures. I
will. Yeah.
So
all right. Well,
as we get out of here, thanks everybody for coming and listening tonight. We will post this on our regular feed for those of you who could not join us tonight as well. So thanks for everybody who supports our show, who listens to our show. We appreciate each and every one of you. And I, myself, totally appreciate both you and Chris and Christy for being such a huge part of the show, making it happen each and every week. So best of luck to everybody out there booking the Wish this week. And we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
And now look at that. I messed up because I wasn't ready to go. So here we go.